is taken from that point away to the high priest. Farrell Jenkins took this picture of these stone steps, ancient steps in Jerusalem, leading up to Jerusalem. And he said about them, he said, Jesus would observe the Passover and instituted the Lord's Supper in the upper city. He then went with his disciples to Gethsemane. From there, he's taken to the house of Caiaphas. Jesus may have taken these steps in both directions. And that's an interesting bit of archaeology there to me, that those could be the very steps which Jesus went back into the city on. But they come to the palace of the high priest, and here's a picture of a model of that palace, and gives you kind of an idea of what it might have been like. It's really more of a compound, several residences there, several different courtyards, porticos around. This model is, I think, probably very accurate. If it's not exactly like it, which I wouldn't expect it to be, it would be nonetheless very close to the kind of thing that the disciples, that Jesus would have been taken to, and where his Jewish trial would have taken place. So they lead him in there, and it says in verse 53, they led him there, and there were assembled all the chief priests and the elders and the scribes. So the Sanhedrin was made up of the chief priests and about 23 of Jewish elders and about 23 scribes. There were 70 all in the Sanhedrin, according to some ancient scholars. So in any case, whether this was the whole Sanhedrin, probably not, but a good portion of them were there, these very leaders of the Jews. Peter follows from afar off at a distance and comes into the courtyard of the high priest, and he sat with the servants and warmed himself at a fire. So it was a cold night, according to John's gospel. There's a fire there. Peter sits right with the servants of the high priest, the enemies of Christ, who've just come and arrested Jesus. And so now the chief priests and all the council sought testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none. So they're trying to get some sort of testimony. They've arrested him. They really don't have anything to arrest him for. So now they have to trump up some charges against him that are make him worthy of death. It says that many bore false witness against him, but their testimonies did not agree. So all sorts of people are willing to say bad things about Jesus, but their testimonies don't agree together. Then some rose up and bore false witness against him, saying, "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple made with hands. Within 3 days I will build another made without hands.' But not even then did their testimony agree." Of course, they're trying to twist Jesus' words. He, at one time, had talked about the temple of his body being destroyed and, coming back to life, being built again after 3 days, talking about his resurrection. They tried to twist those words to him claiming that he was going to destroy the physical temple in Jerusalem. In verse 60, the text says that the high priest stood up in the midst and asked Jesus, saying, "Do you answer nothing? What is it these men testify against you?" But he kept silent and answered nothing. Again, the high priest asked him, saying to him, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed?" And at that point, Jesus says, "I am. And you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven." So Jesus acknowledges being the Christ, the Son of God, and that he in fact would come again, and this priest would see him sitting in the clouds at the right hand of God. At that point, the high priest, believing that, or at least acting like he believed that Jesus had committed blasphemy, says, he tears his clothes and he says, "What further need do we have of witnesses? You've heard his blasphemy. What do you think?" They all condemned him to be deserving of death. Some began to spit on him and blindfold him and beat him and say to us, "Prophesy." And the officers struck him with the palm of their hands. So here's where the physical abuse of Jesus begins. He'll endure some long time of this from the Jews. He'll be taken to the Romans and endure multiple rounds of this with them. So he's already, you think about it, been up for much longer than a day already, much longer than 24 hours, and it's going to be much longer than that before all of this is over. So before all this is finished, it'll be much longer than 24 hours before he passes away on the cross.